I've never been one for words, but the story of my culture is written in my every feature, my every silence. My dad was Australian and my mum Māori. She moved to Australia when she was 17 and only went back to visit family. Later on, she had my 2 sisters and I struggled with my identity a lot. I don't like Brussels sprouts. I've always struggled with my mental health. And I like watching movies that make me laugh and cry. But that didn't matter when they saw me. They just saw my tan skin, my crooked nose, my pronomen, my dark frizzy hair. What was I? It only mattered to me as they moved on from the subject. It's hard to say when this internal shame started. It hadn't always been there. I don't remember when I first found out I was Māori. I just remember realizing there were any other Māori people around me as a child. I led to many questions being asked of me. I think that's when it started, when I noticed the first big difference that separated me from others. It didn't negatively affect me to begin with, until I felt like I was too different. When kids wouldn't believe me that my sister and I were related. When we would go back to Aotearoa, and my mum would always be patted down in security, never anyone else near us. That's when I realized where it all came from. From then on, I started telling people my middle name was just Angel, not anahera. I'd tell people my sister just spent more time in the sun than I did. I'd call my kyro grandpa in front of friends. Having a meaningful middle name didn't matter to me anymore. I didn't care enough to remember how to spell it. None of it mattered to me anymore. When others would say we live in an English country and I should conform to that, when people wouldn't understand my mother's accent, it hurt too much to care. I didn't think about my Māori culture after that. I didn't acknowledge it. When I was 9, I went to Aotearoa for the second time. I remember how excited I was. I felt like I belonged somewhere other than home. I remember arriving there, seeing the beautiful landscapes, seeing Te Reo Māori everywhere, seeing extended family, feeling so happy to just see my culture. That feeling of shame went away for a bit, but the feeling still lingered. I remember going to a charity shop to find a local good book to read while we were there. The cashier said she could hear that Aussie accent, referring to myself. I realized then that no matter what I did, where I went, how I presented, this feeling was going to follow. As I got older, I realized I wasn't alone in the situation. Although the situation for mixed Australian Māori individuals who grew up away from their culture in Mossville was few, but the feeling of shame, hiding your culture, and the whitewashing of your identity was many. But why was this so common amongst my people?
Where we're discussing today on Māori as if it's a bad thing. Put yourself in the shoes of a young Māori person who's hearing on the news that it's a bad thing that a government department has a Māori name. What do you think that young person takes away from that?
I was given some advice before making it into Parliament to not take anything personally or it'll eat you up. Well, Mr. Speaker, I can't help but take everything personally that has been said in this chamber. In only a couple of weeks, in only 14 days, this government has attacked my whole world from every corner. Health, taiao, wai, whenua, natural resources, Māori wards, reo, tamariki, and the rights of me and you to be in this country under te tiriti. How can I not take anything personally when it feels like these policies were made about me?
But even within the roughest moments, Māori culture will never fade away.
I'm married to one of your uncle's best friends, and your mum has kindly asked me to have a bit of a kōrero about the kaupapa and the whakaaro behind me getting my moko kauai. So for me, my journey has been from since I was a little girl. So one of my nannies, Kirikino Kohitu, she grew up in the Kawhia area. She was one of the last wahine with the moko kauai back in the day. I've grown up looking at her portraits over the years. I've always looked at her as someone who's been my guiding light when it comes to moko kauai. One of my biggest aspirations was to get a moko kauai. what we do with moko kauai, you have a kōrero with your whānau and you make sure that all your reasons for getting the moko kauai sort of justified. But for me, it's just coming home and just embracing being Māori and being unapologetic about it. You don't have to speak te reo Māori, you don't have to be fluent, you just have to be he wahine, be born Māori, and that's enough.
My shame didn't always stay. It never fully goes. That took me years to achieve. I started realizing I had to accept myself, that this feeling would never disappear. I started wearing my pranama again. I would tell people my middle name was anahera, not Angel. I wouldn't let sly comments about my ethnicity slide. Because if I were not to accept and embrace my culture, and if our own government was not to, then who? Sure, I still have my hard days. I know little of te reo Māori. I struggle to pronounce my family's name sometimes, but that's okay. I still have much to learn from my ancestors, my mum, and my extended family. But I know who I am now, and I embrace that. Anahera.